As Gautama Buddha once wisely said, "Your work is to discover your world and then with all your heart give yourself to it." Have you ever wondered what would happen if you turned your attention inward? Today, we're diving into the transformative power of self-focus. In this video, we will explore the Buddhist perspective on self-improvement and mindfulness. We'll uncover how focusing on yourself can lead to profound changes in your life and those around you. Buddhism teaches us that by looking within, we can understand the nature of our desires, the root of our suffering, and the path to true happiness. It's not about being self-centered, but about becoming self-aware. As Gautama Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." So, when you focus on yourself, you're not just discovering who you are, you're also shaping who you can become. This journey of self-discovery doesn't just benefit you, it radiates outward, influencing everything you touch with wisdom and compassion. If you're ready to embark on this path of self-awareness and see the ripple effects in your life, join us now. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. 1. Self-improvement. In Buddhism, it is a nuanced concept that intertwines with the core teachings of mindfulness and the pursuit of enlightenment. It's not about striving for a better self out of dissatisfaction or ego, but rather, it's a journey of self-discovery and aligning one's actions with the Dharma, the universal truth and the teachings of the Buddha. In the Buddhist path, self-improvement is seen as a lifelong process of growth and transformation. It's about moving beyond the limited ideas of self and embracing a broader perspective that encompasses both space and time. This process involves a deep understanding of our true nature, our desires, and the causes of our suffering. It's a commitment to walking the path towards embodying the Buddha way as closely as possible, which is characterized by wisdom, compassion, and skillfulness. The Zen Studies podcast discusses the ambivalence about self-improvement, highlighting that while striving for personal goals can lead to dissatisfaction, self-acceptance can make positive change more possible. This reflects the Buddhist belief that profound awakening and total transformation are possible for all human beings, urging us to work towards it selflessly, for our sake and for the sake of others. Self-improvement in Buddhism is also about selfless improvement. It's a path of practice that requires hard work, sacrifice, and sometimes discomfort, but it is done without expecting anything in return for the self. This means refraining from pride in our progress and also from self-criticism over our inadequacies. Instead, it's about engaging in life and practice as a path, learning to approach every action with mindfulness and intention. Ultimately, improving ourselves on the Buddhist path is about developing in tandem with our behavior, reflecting on our character, and ensuring that our spiritual growth brings positive change to our daily lives. It's a holistic approach that doesn't compartmentalize spiritual growth, but integrates it into every aspect of our existence, leading to a more enlightened and fulfilling life. 2. Mindfulness. In the Buddhist tradition, it is a pivotal element of the path to enlightenment. It is the practice of maintaining a non-judgmental state of heightened or complete awareness of one's thoughts, emotions, or experiences on a moment-to-moment basis. This concept is deeply rooted in the teachings of the Buddha, as outlined in the Satipatthana Sutta, which presents mindfulness as a direct path to the realization of nirvana. The practice of mindfulness involves a conscious direction of our awareness. We are not passively aware of what's happening around us. We actively concentrate on our present experiences. This allows us to recognize the impermanence of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations, leading to a deeper understanding of the nature of suffering and ultimately to its cessation. Mindfulness in Buddhism is not merely about being aware, it's about being aware of something in particular, our body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. Each of these foundations of mindfulness serves as a subject of meditation and a domain for developing insight. For instance, mindfulness of the body includes practices such as the mindfulness of breathing, which helps to stabilize the mind and bring it back to the present moment. By practicing mindfulness, we cultivate a mind that is stable and grounded, yet flexible and adaptable. It is a mind that can observe without getting entangled in the dramas that play out within it. This quality of mind is essential for developing other aspects of the Buddhist path, such as ethical conduct and wisdom. Moreover, mindfulness is not an isolated practice, it's integrated into daily life. It's the art of living fully in each moment, whether we're eating, walking, speaking, or listening. It's about bringing a quality of attention and care to everything we do, which transforms our entire experience of life. In essence, mindfulness as taught in Buddhism is a profound practice that goes beyond mere stress reduction. It is a transformative process that changes how we relate to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us, leading to a life of clarity, compassion, and contentment. 3. Nature of desires. In Buddhism, the concept of desire, or tanha in Pali, is central to understanding the human condition and the path to liberation. Desire is seen as a natural part of human experience, but it is also recognized as a primary source of suffering. The Buddha taught that desire comes in many forms, such as the craving for sensual pleasures, the desire for existence, and the desire for non-existence. Desire, according to Buddhist teachings, is not inherently bad. It is the attachment and clinging to these desires that lead to dukkha, or suffering. This attachment arises from the mistaken belief that fulfilling our desires will lead to lasting happiness. However, because all things are impermanent, any happiness derived from them is also transient, leading to a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. The second noble truth of Buddhism states that the cause of suffering is this very craving or thirst for sensual pleasures, experiences, and even ideas. It is the fuel that perpetuates a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, samsara, keeping beings trapped in a continuous loop of suffering. To address desire, Buddhism does not advocate for its complete suppression or denial. Instead, it offers a middle way that involves understanding the nature of desire, observing how it arises and passes away, and ultimately, cultivating detachment and renunciation. This is achieved through practices such as mindfulness, which allows individuals to witness their desires without being controlled by them. Furthermore, Buddhism distinguishes between unwholesome desires that lead to suffering and wholesome desires that lead to spiritual growth, such as the desire to achieve enlightenment or to help others. The key is to transform harmful desires into aspirations that align with the path of Dharma, fostering a sense of purpose that transcends selfish cravings. In essence, Buddhism teaches that by understanding the true nature of desire and learning to let go of attachment, individuals can free themselves from suffering and move towards a state of peace and liberation. This profound insight into the workings of the mind is as relevant today as it was in the time of the Buddha, offering a timeless guide to navigating the complexities of human desires. 4. Root of suffering. In Buddhism, it is intricately tied to the concept of dukkha, which is often translated as suffering, dissatisfaction, or stress. The Buddha's teachings on dukkha are encapsulated in the Four Noble Truths, which form the foundation of Buddhist philosophy. The first noble truth acknowledges that suffering exists in life. It's not just the obvious pain and distress, but also a more subtle sense of unease that pervades human existence. The second noble truth explores the origin of this suffering, identifying it as stemming from tanha, or craving. This craving can take many forms: the desire for sensory pleasures, the wish for fame and recognition, or even the longing for eternal life or complete annihilation. Craving leads to suffering because it is based on the misunderstanding of the nature of reality. Everything is impermanent, yet we crave for stable, lasting happiness. This mismatch between our expectations and the true nature of the world results in dukkha. Moreover, our ignorance of the non-self, or anatta, causes us to cling to a false sense of a permanent, unchanging identity, further entrenching us in dissatisfaction. The Buddha taught that to overcome suffering, one must understand its root, craving, and work to eliminate it. This is done through the practice of the Eightfold Path, which provides a practical guide to ethical living, mental discipline, and wisdom. By following this path, one can gradually weaken the grip of craving and eventually attain liberation from the cycle of rebirth and suffering. In summary, the root of suffering in Buddhism is our craving for things that are impermanent and the ignorance of our true nature. By recognizing and addressing these fundamental causes, Buddhism offers a path to overcoming suffering and achieving a state of peace and happiness. 5. Path to happiness. In Buddhism, it is deeply intertwined with the understanding of the mind and the nature of reality. It is not a pursuit of fleeting pleasures or material success, but a journey towards inner peace and mental equanimity. The Buddha taught that true happiness, or piti, is a profound tranquility that arises from a state of mind, not dependent on external objects or circumstances. This happiness is one of the 7 factors of enlightenment and is cultivated through mental discipline and the practice of Dharma, the Buddha's teachings of wisdom and compassion. It is a happiness that does not waver with life's ups and downs because it is rooted in a deep understanding of the impermanence of all things. The Buddha's path to happiness begins with the realization of the root causes of suffering, ignorance, and craving. By acknowledging and letting go of these roots, one can develop a mind that is free from the binds of desire and aversion. This freedom allows for the cultivation of piti, a joy that is independent of sensory pleasures and is characterized by a serene contentment. Practices such as mindfulness and meditation are key in this journey, as they train the mind to live in the present moment, free from the regrets of the past and anxieties about the future. Through these practices, one learns to observe thoughts and emotions without attachment, understanding their transient nature and thus finding peace. Moreover, the path to happiness in Buddhism involves ethical living and the development of virtues such as generosity, patience, and loving kindness. These qualities foster a sense of connection with others and contribute to a harmonious and fulfilling life. In essence, the Buddhist path to happiness is a transformative process that shifts the focus from external validation to internal stability. It is a happiness that is enduring and resilient, providing a foundation for a life of clarity, joy, and ultimate freedom from suffering. 6. Influence on others. In Buddhism, the influence we have on others is not merely a byproduct of our actions. It is a deliberate and conscious part of the path to enlightenment. The teachings emphasize that our actions, speech, and thoughts have a profound impact on the world around us, and therefore, we must cultivate positive qualities within ourselves to be a beneficial presence for others. The concept of metta, or loving kindness, is central to this idea. It is the practice of extending goodwill and benevolence to all beings without discrimination. By developing metta, Buddhists aim to become a source of peace and happiness for others, influencing them through their example of compassion and kindness. Buddhism also teaches the principle of karma, which suggests that our actions have consequences that extend beyond our individual lives. By acting with intention and moral clarity, we set into motion a chain of events that can lead to positive outcomes for ourselves and others. This interconnectedness underscores the importance of being mindful of how our behavior affects those around us. Moreover, the practice of dana, or generosity, is another way Buddhists influence others positively. It is not limited to material giving, but also includes offering time, attention, and wisdom. Through dana, Buddhists demonstrate the joy of giving and inspire others to cultivate the same spirit of generosity. In the Mahayana tradition, the ideal of the bodhisattva is to attain enlightenment not just for oneself, but for the benefit of all sentient beings. This altruistic intention is perhaps the ultimate expression of how Buddhists seek to influence others, by aspiring to bring about the liberation of all from suffering. In summary, Buddhism teaches that by cultivating virtues such as loving kindness, compassion, and generosity, we can become a positive influence on others. Our actions, grounded in these principles, have the power to inspire, uplift, and contribute to the collective well-being, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate circle. In conclusion, the essence of Buddhism is not found in external pursuits, but in the inner journey of self-awareness and transformation. By focusing on ourselves, we unlock a path to true happiness that is both personal and universal. This path leads us to a deeper understanding of our interconnectedness with all beings, inspiring us to live with intention, compassion, and wisdom. As we cultivate these qualities within, we naturally become a beacon of positive influence, contributing to the collective well-being and moving together towards enlightenment. Embrace the path to inner peace and enlightenment with us on Buddhism Bliss. Subscribe for insightful teachings, and let's journey together towards a life of mindfulness and joy. Your quest for wisdom starts here.